people can tell whether they know what they're picking up on or not. They can tell what they run into for the first time, their first impression. They can tell when you're on the phone. And if you look sharp and you feel good and you're smiling, you're making a completely different impression than if you show up looking like shit and your mind's in another place.
This is the Just Real Quick podcast, where we discuss how to succeed in the world of sales through confidence, discipline, and consistency. Are you ready to be intentional about creating more opportunities that lead to sales? Tune into this episode right now for the latest insights and strategies that will take your sales game to the next level. I'm your host, Jefferson K. Rogers.
Welcome back to another episode of Just Real Quick. Today, I got my boy Ethan in the studio with me. And he was actually the top coordinator in JKR Windows last month. So earned him a spot on the Just Real Quick podcast. And today we're going to be talking about some mindset, some activity, some of the stuff that Ethan has overcame in his life. He's a young go-getter, wants to do big things with his life. And I know that there's a lot of other people out there that have similar aspirations. So we're here to inspire, to educate. What you got for us, buddy?
Not a lot, man. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah. Appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks.
This is a big month last month. Your biggest month you've ever had.
Right, yeah. Actually kind of by a long shot, by almost 20K. Well, actually, because I was probably like 30, 40K.
Wow, then.
Through it. Honestly.
So what was the difference last month?
I think just had a lot of talks between Patrick and Andreas and Joel, you know what I mean? And kind of picked up on things I was doing that were helping, but also I was focusing more on the personal things than work itself, and it kind of dreaded me to kind of fall into a loop, you know what I mean? I was never in a slump because, I put up something once, at least one a week, which isn't really good, but I kind of went in there last month with the mindset of don't settle with satisfied, you know what I mean? You can never be satisfied. Be happy for sure, pat yourself on the back for your successes, but don't settle with satisfied. It's not going to work here. If you wanted to settle with satisfied, that's why you can work in that.
Yeah. Right? And those guys are talking to you because they trust that you have what it takes to do it.
No, totally.
And they see that you're capable of doing more. And they're trying to help you believe that it's possible for yourself.
Right.
Because once you can align those things, then your belief, your confidence, your activity, they all start to go up in a common way.
No, absolutely. I agree with you because first coming in here, I've never done sales. I wasn't really a people person in the first place, construction background for the most part. So coming in here, I really didn't believe myself. I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. How am I supposed to talk to people and commit to something?
So what was it that made you think you could do this?
I just kept going, you know what I mean? Kept doing it, stayed with the culture. And then I started seeing that success eventually throughout time. And that kind of led me to believe this is doable. It's just a trade you have to learn. It's not something you can pick up overnight. And honestly, I still, I'm definitely not the best. You know what I mean? I know that there's always room to improve. But with that, I know I've grown a lot since when I first started, right? I've gone from 2 to 3 sales a month to about that a week, if not a little more. So I'm seeing growth. And then alongside that, I just have all the super positive peers, like you, Joel, Andreas, Bobby, for instance, he trained me. So I think without Bobby training me, I might not have popped out how I did recently, you know what I mean? Because Bobby, if you look at it, we're kind of similar. We're fourth quarter players, end of the week is when we make stuff happen, you know what I mean? Our script isn't similar, but we talk to people the same because Bobby just kind of locked it into me. So I just have all these positive, peers, within the culture of the company that just keep me going, keep me positive, and just watching growth from other people, because I've been here in September, I've been here a year. And so Carter's also been here a couple of years. And even then, within a year, I've seen him grow or Bobby grow. I've seen everyone else growing. And so that's how I know that I'm improving every day. It's because I can see it in other people and I can also see it within myself. And that's what helps me believe it, is because not only that, but they're positive about it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not only celebrating it, but they're also make sure they're positive toward you to make sure you can keep that going for yourself as well.
Yeah.
And that's a positive.
I love that, man. So when you first got introduced to JKR Windows, what was it about the company or the people that you met with that attracted you here?
So that's a funny story. Actually, Josh Peters is the one who interviewed me. So he was a super solid guy. Just the way he talked, it wasn't an interview I've had before. The questions he asked, what do you expect to get out of this? You know what I mean? And that's mostly because basically I was just walking onto a site, getting hired, saying, hey, working next day for your blue collar work.
Yeah.
And so the difference there is it felt real. And so, but the funny story behind that is actually, so the day for, or the week, onboarding week, I believe it's called. Right. So I actually had an onboarding week for a solar company at the same time, same week. And so It was actually their first day was the day after, for JKR. Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll go check out JKR, sit down with both of them and decide from there. Yeah. Immediately sent into the room, meeting Andres and Joel, like shaking their hands, like, hey, what's up, guys? Meeting Josh in person.
Yeah.
Just seeing that culture, seeing the environment, like within a day, Josh had that whole room best friends. Like we didn't know anyone because there was probably like 13 people in there, you know what I mean? And I didn't even bother with the solar company. Like I texted him, I was like, honestly, I found something better and this is where I want to be. And I'd be like, because I've never met anyone like that. And also meeting you that day, because I think you walked in on my first day.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the CEO. And you were there, you were involved with us. You know what I mean? You weren't just saying, you didn't just talk to the big guy and then walk out, And that's what I respect about you is you're the boss, but you're not, you know what I mean? You're also there for the entire team at the same time. You're not solely focused on yourself. And I noticed that the first day. And that's a big thing for me because in the background, having a foreman or, whatever it is, just all they care about is themselves.
Yes. Just like the manager style versus leadership.
Exactly. That's the difference. It's the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. Right. So that right there was enough for me to not even think about the solar company. Like, for instance, in Twin Falls, like I don't worry about solar. You know what I mean? I'm happy where I'm at because at the end of the day, I mean, first of all, I know solar isn't treating people good out there in the first place. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about solar, but just from experiences on the doors, talking to homeowners, it's just not something I want to be involved in. I'd rather come out there and not immediately be hated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the same time, though, that's doable with solar. You just have to sell yourself more than you sell the product you're trying to get rid of. Or not get rid of, but help them with. Because, that's a better way to put it. And so with that, I mean, still don't think about solar. I'm happy where I'm at. I tell people all the time, you know what I mean? I brought Stratton on because I know it's a great opportunity. He's on sales.
He's doing great, man.
Oh, yeah, he's killing it.
It's so cool to have that opportunity to offer something to somebody that can change their life.
No, absolutely.
Because I've seen it's such an incredible difference,
right,
in how he first showed up, and he was just kind of timid and unsure of himself, and now he's gotten some momentum. He's had some wins. He's been integrated into the team.
Oh yeah, dude. He's super excited about it too. He talks to me about it all the time. Stratton loves being here. That's the culture. Even then, like Stratton's worked in sales, so I'm sure you heard the story.
Yeah.
So he was in pest control for, I don't remember, I think it was Hawks Pest Control over summer sales, I think 2 years ago or a year ago.
Yeah.
And so that's actually kind of what led me into it is when I seen the sales team on it, because I got hired through Indeed. So I saw sales and I was like, Stratton did sales. I actually reached out to him. I was like, yo, how was sales? Did you enjoy it? Yeah. At this point, I didn't even know it was door to door. I didn't know it was door to door till I got put on the door. So like I probably just wasn't paying very much attention or something, just didn't understand what a marketing coordinator was. And so at that point, when I found out it was door to door, my anxiety went from like 10 to 11, you know what I mean? And then went and knocked the first door with Bobby and he made it super comfortable for me. But anyway, Strat, he kind of taught me, he's like, this isn't bad,
Just puts things into perspective. He makes it look like, man, I think I can do this. If this guy can do it, he doesn't seem like anything special.
No, totally. And Stratton tells me, he compares it to Hawks all the time with me, with JKR. I mean, he's just says this is way better, because compared to Hawks, like the culture here and everything, it's kind of like you said, the leadership over management. Like they were managing everything they did at all times. They weren't there for them, really, is what he was telling me. And just the culture here is so different. Obviously, the money's super different too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the money's nice, but it's not about the money. At the day, it's about the relationships we can build with each other and create that family, and that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, over and over and over, we've had these examples of people that want to come and be a part of an example and an opportunity of something that they can see themselves doing long term.
Exactly.
And sometimes they'll do it for less money.
Right.
To have a place that they can come to and be comfortable and have kind of a family environment to be a part of, people that care about them, that they're getting recognized, and they have people that they care about also for less money. It's not always about the money. And in the sales industry, in solar specifically, a lot of times I know the guys that bounce between companies and they're chasing the next contract and the more money. Sometimes it is about money, but those people wouldn't make it here.
No, totally.
Like they wouldn't last in this kind of culture because they wouldn't align morally and ethically or with our core values, and we would weed them out so quick. Just because it's very apparent when we have people that are aligned and that aren't aligned.
Totally. And I agree with you there. And that's the thing, is those people that are just chasing the next dollar or the next contract, they're actually not happy with themselves at the end of the day. You know what I mean? They have a lot of money, and sure, that makes them happy, but there's things they're missing with those relationships and those bonds that we create here.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between JKR, is not only does it have those relationships, those bonds, that safety, you know, you feel comfortable, but also alongside you do have that money, right? And that's why I love this job and love this culture, is because, one, you're getting paid, you're making a lot.
You've also made more money than you've ever made.
Exactly.
On top of these other great things.
Right. And then there's the culture and the relationships you build behind it, and just the honesty and everything behind this company. And that's what keeps me going here. And that's why I don't ever see myself leaving here. Right. And I don't, honestly. I haven't thought about leaving, but I sat down and thought about, like, if JKR doesn't work out, where am I going to go? Right. And honestly, my head came to no conclusions. Like, I even looked at other sales, like, not looked at them, but thought about, like, other sales things, like solar, like pest control.
Yeah.
I just don't see myself.
It's a hard thing not to do. When you go through your ups and downs, you got to consider these other options, like, am I in the right place?
Right.
All the things considered, as amazing as the culture is.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing that you have here that you'll never find anywhere else is something that you can believe in wholeheartedly, to have a company that's going to represent you after the sale, after you're done, better than anybody is even capable of.
Oh, right.
And that's one thing that we take seriously. And it's easy to separate yourself in business by just doing that, because most people aren't. They're just like these other industries that we've been exposed to. They're in it for the money.
Right.
Like, they may want to make it seem like they're in it for these other things, but the proof is in the pudding. Like, you can see that they are in it for the money.
Right.
And that as soon as that transaction is done, the reviews speak for themselves, the customer experiences, the people that we get to interact with,
Right.
when we go talk to them afterwards.
Exactly. And I agree with you, because, I mean, I've had some good friends that were here, you know what I mean? They just aren't here anymore because it wasn't for them. For instance, like Carson and Mike, and then everyone else. So I got hired on with like 13 people, maybe, and that's counting me.
Yeah.
But I still talk to them. You know, a lot of them every day, and check up on them, and they're doing well, you know what I mean? And they're cool people. And I think that's the biggest thing that changed about last month too, is like I came full confidence in myself that, like, I'm here at JKR and that's where I need to be, you know what I mean? And that's because right. And Patrick's pod really helped me a lot with that, actually, because, I mean, just going on that pod, becoming close with Kyle, we love Kyle, man. Yeah. Chase and Patrick, and then also getting to help Chase learn the trade, and then seeing Chase pop off. And I think it was Heber. Chase did really well in Heber.
Was it I think it was
Manti, that's right. Heber was Obi's pod. But yeah, and watching Chase, I love that, man. When I like see someone new come in, I got the chance to at least teach them something, you know what I mean? And being with Chase that close all the time, I was working with him closely, and he picked it up on his own. But at the same time, I mean, it was super cool to see him go out there, brand new, struggling, you know what I mean, to going out and popping through, you know, what was it, 6 sales in a week?
Yeah.
Monday to Saturday.
Just went off.
Oh, yeah, and I love seeing that, man.
And he actually had, I guess it was him and Ramiro had the last 2 sales of the trip.
Oh, really?
That ended up putting Drake as the #1 director.
Oh, wow, for last month. That's awesome.
For the trip.
Oh, for the trip.
For the trip.
Oh, they broke a record? Is that what you're saying?
No, but Drake ended up being the top director.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because those guys were grinding.
Right.
They're both grinders, but...
Who else was there with them? Wasn't there a third guy up there? Was it Ramiro?
I think it was Ramiro.
Oh, Ramiro, Chase, and then, I don't know. It's not important.
It's so cool, though, to see those guys winning, and you had an opportunity to work with Chase, to help him realize that this is his place.
Exactly.
He's got an opportunity here.
Right.
This is his family. And tell us a little bit about your experience working with, like, your experience getting mentored and now having an opportunity to mentor other people.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Like I said, having Bobby, I think I really did have the best mentor I could have, you know, because Bobby knows, not only, Bobby's great. He's really good at what he does.
Oh, it's amazing.
But alongside that, he knows how to teach it. He knows how to approach it. You know what I mean? And so with that, you know, taking it from my perspective, I didn't know Bobby. I was a stranger to Bobby, but I know Stratton. I mean, Stratton are close. But with Chase, I was never Chase's mentor, but I was helping him, you know. And so that was super cool because Chase was a stranger. Took him out actually in Payson because that was his first week. And then just kind of taught him body language, taught him how to talk to people and everything, and worked with him exactly how Bobby worked with me, right? Same with Stratton, just kind of with the script, how to work on that, and then first solely learn that script. Because if you know the script, you can do it. Just go out there and do it, you know, talk to the people. And so it's super cool to watch, you know, I kind of just did what Bobby did, kind of followed in his steps for Chase and Stratton. And what Bobby did, he didn't really tell you what to do, you know, he kind of You ever seen a video of like someone putting food down and a dog going and getting the treats? Like that's kind of what he did. He led me to it.
He was through it, guiding you, encouraging you in the direction. Because if you're doing it for somebody, it's not going to teach them.
Oh, totally.
And so that's a great lesson to learn that you can take into your opportunities. That whether you're an actual assigned mentor or you're just doing a little bit of coaching, there's a specific approach that you're going to get good at. That we're all here not to just go through the motions with people, but to make an impact.
Exactly.
We want to give them something that they're going to be able to use, that it's tactful, and they can immediately start seeing new success. And now you're a part of their story.
No, exactly. And that's kind of the same thing is like when you're mentoring, you're not just teaching them how to do the job. You're not just teaching them, how to sell a window, and at the same time, you're kind of teaching them the culture. You're teaching them how you should put the company on your back at the same time. And that's why I love it, right? Is because Bobby does that so strongly. So when he was mentoring me, like Bobby lives, sleeps, and eats JKR, man. Like seriously. And so going into mentoring Chase and Stratton, like I taught him how to sell, of course, taught him how to talk to people and stuff, helped them out there. But at the same time, mentoring is teaching them the culture, teaching them to trust you and the company, and then just teaching them to get comfortable here. So there's a lot more to mentoring than just teaching them how to sell, and
Absolutely.
So it was a great feeling to get to do that with Stratton and Chase a little bit. So.
And now they're both
killing it.
Because of your contribution, they're killing it.
Right.
So the belief that you instilled in them, some of that instruction, the direction that you gave them, some of the tactical things that they could apply to their approach.
No, totally.
It feels good to have that kind of impact.
No, it really does. And it's also cool to see him because Chase is beating me right now and Stratton. So like they're both beating me for the month right now. And that not only motivates me, but it's also super cool to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I love about this too, is not really, people don't get upset at you for doing better. We're all proud of you at the same time when you do well. Like, so for last month, like we had a lot of close numbers, right? And me and Robbie had a serious talk about it because, I bumped up to him last minute and he was like, man, I really needed that, dude. And we just had a good talk. And at the same time, he's like, yeah, I'm so proud of you. Like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? And I told him, I was like, well, at the same time, think about it. You've been here 3 months. You already broke 100K. You were number 2. It took me 9 months to get number 1 for the month. You know what I mean? And so I told him, there's wins in everything you do here. And people are happy to show you these, how you acknowledge them.
That's right, dude.
So,
yep. So what's your next goals?
My next goals, revenue-wise for the company.
Yeah. So have you put much thought into those?
So I've been thinking about it. So I plan to get a car next week, and that's going to help me kind of get around and have a lot more time, not take other people's time anyway. So having a car will just give me that freedom to stay out longer, leave when I want to, on the doors, of course. And then also I was looking into directorship, right? And I know that's a little ways away, but that's part of why I want a car, because I'm not going to ride a bike around with a window, right? And so that's my next goal. Because I'm a mentor now. I've been mentoring. So my next goal is, directorship. Not necessarily my own pod, right? I don't think I'm ready for that anytime soon. I know I can get there. I will get there eventually. But right now, my next goal is just directorship. So what I'm trying to do there is just focus on so it was brought up a long time ago, Atomic Habits, the book between Drake and Ramiro and Blake's pod, when I think they went out and what did they do, over 200K?
Yeah, they still hold the record.
Right, exactly. And so after hearing that, obviously the book doesn't have superpowers, right? It's the person who reads it, it takes it. So I started reading that book, and it really just developed those things into my life these last 4 or 5 months. Just these little habits, because it's not going to happen overnight. I think that's the biggest difference too, is I let that add up. And so with that, I just stay locked in on those, and I stay doing what I'm doing. I see the growth every month, every week, right? I'm improving. And that's a good thing. And so I'm going to continue doing this. I'm just taking it at my own pace. Because when I first started, I started doing that way too fast. And I fell off a little bit, right? Because you have to take things slowly. You can't just jump right into it.
And you got to be consistent.
Right.
I had a friend of mine that always, he gave several speeches in this mentor mastermind group. And one of the things he talked about a lot was consistency over intensity.
Right.
So, anybody can go out there and have a great week.
No, exactly.
Or a great month.
Right.
But the elite players, the professionals, the experts, they put consistent months together, consistent years together of the activity, the mentality, all of the results. And there's a big difference between just being intense and being able to go out there and prove to everybody that you can do it like in a short sprint.
Right.
But this is a marathon, dude. Like the habits and the discipline that you're developing right now with this team, with your skills, with this company,
are going to help you for the rest of your life.
No, I agree. And that's what I told Stratton and Baylor, because I have a friend Baylor just not ready yet. Needs a few more months before he comes out here. But
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I tell them all the time. And they've seen it too, because before I started here, I knew Stratton and Baylor both. I've known them both for multiple years in my life. They saw how you've heard a little bit about it, saw how my life was before JKR, how I treated myself, how I treated the people around me, the habits I had. And even then, it's like, they talk about it all the time, like the growth I've had outside of work, not just within the work, obviously, right? Because, obviously I've gone to the point of like, hey, my name's Ethan, all stuttery and stuff, to like, obviously super open. These guys joking with them about kicking their dog or something, press an icebreaker, you know what I mean? Super funny stuff. But outside of the company as well, like I've strengthened my relationships within my family, not only, friends, but within my family, my siblings, my mother, also friends, of course, right? Because I was making all these bad decisions, pushing myself away from these friends, right, for so long. And then once I got here, I cleaned myself up, you know what I mean? I saw how everyone was, and it's like you say, you hang around in a group of 5 idiots, makes you the 6th idiot, right? So coming around here, a group of dogs, and people have their life together, and people are responsible for themselves. I kind of just adapted to that habitat. So I walked out of that life, or not that life, walked out of the company, every day, a changed person because of that, because I'm out here hanging out with you guys now. I'm not out here hanging out with the dudes who, it's just are doing the good things for their lives. I don't want to go into specifics, right?
I can relate, buddy. I've been there too.
No, totally. And so they see it all the time, like I'm around them more, we're having more fun, we're not just sitting on the couch doing nothing, we're going out doing things, we're active. They also seen how I talk to people, to strangers, they're like, I'll pull up to a stranger and I'll be their best friend, you know what I mean? Just talk to them, in a store or whatever. And so it's super funny because I actually have a story about that today, because I was helping my friend Kylie. She's getting a car. Yeah. And so we were over at Premier Car and Truck, I think, over there. And there's a guy named Dennis. He actually has been looking into our windows, called me in, I think, about a retail quote. And I told him, I was like, well, here's my phone number. With my name and number. He just doesn't think he's ready yet. But he said he's been getting renewal, like by Anderson quotes all the time. Yeah. Kylie was just sitting there trying to get a car. She was watching me talk to this guy the whole time, and she was like, what were you doing? Like, she couldn't tell I was selling him, because I wasn't selling him. I was having a conversation with this guy. Yeah. He saw the logo, he recognized it.
He's trying to build some value, build a relationship.
Exactly. And
trust.
And that's all it takes, man. Me and this guy built a relationship, and I know when he is ready, whether he'll call the office or me, who knows, but in a couple of weeks, he's going to come back to us because we had that interaction. So that's why I wear the JKR shirt around in public, right? Because you carry that company on your back. People know about you, and they're going to need your name out there. And as a coordinator, that's kind of my job, is to get out there, right? Get to meet people. So that's why I do it. And even going out there, I'm not working, just talking to those people. You know what I mean? Helping them with the need they have.
Isn't that interesting? It was just a change of perspective. And I'm sure that you've thought about it differently at stages over the last 9 months.
Oh, totally.
Because, coming in, you were fresh, never done sales, right. Didn't know what to think about it, not sure how to position yourself and how serious you should take it. Like now you're bought in, and you've got all this belief and these new patterns that you're talking yourself through, because you want to be bought in here. Right. You want to be committed. You want to contribute to the team. You want to bring value to the rest of your teammates. And you've got to be bought in, and you've got to talk the talk, and you've got to walk the walk to be able to make that kind of an impact.
No, 100%. I agree with you there. That's the most important thing, is to be bought in, right? Because if you're here and you're just moving through the motions, you might make like one sale, but it's like Andres says all the time, you say it, you're going to trip into that sale. You didn't do anything to get to that sale. And you're going to get that one sale, that, because you're just moving through the motions. So you have to be fully bought in, not only to the company, to the people you're talking to the relationships you built in the company, just everything alongside that, because every little thing matters, right? And people don't realize that, I don't think, not as much as they should. It's like everything you do throughout your day, like it's impacting your day. One time you wake up, did you make your bed? Did you make your bed this morning? Did you clean up? Did you brush your teeth, personal hygiene? It all reflects when you go out on the doors, right? You don't comb your hair, people are going to want to open the door for you. They see a messy hair dude, and you may have a big smile on your face, but that's going to be creepy.
Yep. First impression is pretty important.
Right. And then just all the little things, like you have to have your life organized outside of work, because how are you going to organize your time inside of work if it's not, right? If you have a messy room, your bed's not made, you have clothes in your bathroom, anything like that. If you have that messy room, how do you expect to manage your life? How do you expect to, keep that organized if you can't keep those basic things organized, right? It takes 5 minutes to wake up, throw your sheets over your bed, and put your pillows back on it, right? So what's the problem there? You know what I mean? It takes just as much energy to get out of bed, sit there, pull up your phone, type a few texts, than it does to just put your phone down, make your bed in 5 minutes, get on your phone, respond, and then do your thing you have to do for the morning, right? It's just, you have to have an organized life, right? Because when I first started here, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I was a pretty messy person. Like, I didn't pick up after myself very often. I mean, I was pretty good with hygiene, always have been, you know, but I didn't make my bed, didn't do any of that stuff. And I noticed as soon as I started organizing my life, remaking my bed, putting my clothes in the bin, not leaving them on the floor, just those basic things, you know. And
It feels better, not?
Right. It feels better when you're at home and stress-wise also, and that reflects into work, right? Because you're taking that off your back and coming to work, and you're already familiar with organizing things, so it's not hard to organize here.
And I think it has a lot to do with your own perspective on yourself.
So,
Because if you're messy, if you look in the mirror and it's kind of disheveled and your hair's messy and you're got a 5 o'clock shadow, you're going to perceive yourself differently. Your confidence is going to have a different level than if you were to look at sharp, clean cut, everything's put together. Same thing with your car or your bedroom or anything. Like there's these little dings to your confidence every time you don't have your shit together in one of these other areas of your life. And you can tell a lot about somebody, where they're at currently, by just looking at how they conduct themselves. And if you go to get in their car and it's like littered with stuff, it gives a pretty good example about how important they take this, and also a reflection of how important they take other things.
I agree with you. Confidence is definitely the biggest thing, because you're going out there, you have to be confident in yourself. Not necessarily your appearance. Obviously, you want to look good. I mean, it's kind of a sports saying, but the better you look, the better you play, right? Yeah. So that's kind of how I go out on the door.
You can apply that to business. I heard that a ton in business too.
No, totally.
It's just like making phone calls.
Right.
Like I'm making phone calls from my house, and I got to be dressed. I got to be standing up. I got to be smiling, because my wife, if I call my wife and I'm sitting there in my pajamas with my shirt off, and I'm not smiling, she's like, "What's wrong with you?" So like people can tell whether they know what they're picking up on or not. They can tell when they run into you for the first time, their first impression. They can tell when you're on the phone. And if you look sharp and you feel good and you're smiling, you're making a completely different impression than if you show up looking like shit and your mind's in another place.
No, totally. Because I've been there, right? When I first showed up, when I first started, I didn't dress the most fancy, because I walked in and I didn't see people dress fancy. This before we started with the polos, you know. I love the JKR shirts, the basic tees. They're great to wear around, and they're great for the gym and for bed also, you know what I mean? But when I'm on the doors, I really do try and keep that presentability. If that's a word, probably not, but you know, I make them up. Just kidding.
Make them up as you go.
Right, exactly.
That's probably a word that I would use too.
Totally. It's in the dictionary for sure. But so that's why I really do. I like the idea when we switched to the polos, right? Because then I got more polos, because I always loved the polos, and I just like looking presentable on the doors. Right. And I've noticed when I do, I get a lot more contacts. People are a lot sweeter about it. A lot more people think we're solar, but I just am quick to reassure them, like, hey, I'm not with solar. Like, I'm with JKR Windows. The first thing I tell people is our company, you know, the company I'm representing. And so that's just a big thing for me, is because once I switched that and I started dressing better on the doors, you're right, that confidence makes the biggest difference, right? Because beforehand, like, I knew I did look the best. Like, the clothes were a little, you know, off, you know what I mean? But walking out there with, like, for instance, this is what I'd wear knocking on a normal day.
We're sharp.
Exactly. And so, well, I appreciate it. Not exactly, but I do appreciate that. And so it just makes me feel more confident going out there, you know, talking to people. And also just like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Confidence is a big thing for me, because coming in here, I wasn't confident about myself first.
Good, dude.
Yeah.
It's been cool to watch your progress.
Appreciate it.
The example that you are to your brothers, to your mom, the trajectory that you put yourself on. And it's, you know, we've offered this vehicle for you, but you've had to take advantage of it.
No, totally.
You've had to put in the work. It's all you.
Right.
So you don't give yourself enough credit for that. So I'm proud of you and appreciate you coming on and sharing with us today. And I'm looking forward to seeing some extra things from some big things, like JKR Elite status.
This is going to happen.
I'm expecting you to be wearing one of them white polos, those white hats, representing for JKR Elite.
No, that's the plan. After that kickoff and seeing you give away those hats, I knew about the Elite, right? I knew what you had to do to get it, but that just motivated me even more, man. Those are some cool hats. It's not even about the hats, it's just about getting there, you know, because I know once I get there, it's like the 100K I got last month. I know I can do it again. Now it's locked in. It's something I've done. It's a familiar feeling. At this point, it's muscle memory.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm excited about.
You got to go put in the activity to do it. You did it with relatively low
activity.
That's life.
Like it was kind of easy for you.
No, it was.
So now if you just recognize the kind of work that you need to put in, where you need to keep your mindset,
Right.
and just be consistent with that activity, there's no reason why you can't consistently be number one guy.
I agree.
There's-
I don't plan to be number 2, so that's the plan, to stay number 1. So
Right on.
it'll be a little difficult this month, but
just catching up soon.
You got a little catching up to do, that's all.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
So one thing that will serve you well is if you make a target, do everything in your power to go hit that target. Don't ever lower your targets. You just got to increase your activity.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
hey, yeah, that's the plan, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to put up those big numbers in the next couple of months. So.
Right on, brother.
Awesome, man.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Just Real Quick. If you haven't already, go and like and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We appreciate you checking in. It definitely helps us to get additional subscribers and likes and testimonials. If you have something nice to say about us, shoot us a little message. Keep coming back for more every week for the Just Real Quick podcast. We'll bring you as much value as we possibly can when it comes to door-to-door replacement windows, mentality, rebuttals, everything you can think of. So thanks for checking in. We'll see you next time.